welcome to moneyHOP Q&A session. Today we have Gurpreet Kaur with us. She's a communication coach and she's going to give some incredible insights on IELTS preparation. So let's get started. So today we are discussing about IELTS and to set a perspective. So after long days, months of preparation, the student is about to go for the exam, the crucial moment. And obviously, the student who is attending for first would be tensed, right? So give some tips for the students so that they can stay calm and focused during the test.
All right. I think the best tip that I would be able to give in here is that if you've prepared well, okay, so you would be calm in your very own nature. But I think other than that, other than best preparation, I'd say you need to arrive really early at the venue. So, for example, if your test taking time is at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, it's advisable to be at the center at around 3:15 so that you have a smooth time in settling up, doing the formalities in there, which is that you need to take your passport there. They do everything, so it's important for you to arrive early. Second on is get a good night's sleep, because you need to be fresh, you need to be exact in your examination, right? So getting a good night's sleep is very crucial when it comes to taking a test. Do not cram things up at all, and make sure that you've eaten properly as well. Last tip that I would like to give you is read the instructions very carefully. Often what happens is, due to the stress in the examination, we end up maybe writing more or doing all the questions, which is not the case in IELTS, right? So you need to read out the instructions super clearly and make sure that you are within the word limit, especially in your listening and your writing tasks. So yes, that's for the tips to stay calm on your exam day.
Okay. Now, so IELTS is a very big exam for any student who is aspiring to go abroad. So obviously there would be a lot of myths surrounding it. There would be lesser known myths, and there would be myths that everyone knows. Everyone just blindly believes without any logic or reason. So, as an
Yes.
experienced trainer, IELTS trainer, what are those myths that you would love to debunk at this moment?
You're right, you're right. There's so many myths which are floating in the IELTS market, and unfortunately, a lot of trainers are minting money upon those myths. So, number one, the first myth that I would like to debunk is if you have a good accent, you will be able to have a good speaking band score, which is absolutely wrong. The really important factor to get a good speaking band is your vocabulary, your grammar, and your the way you frame your sentences. So it is the proficiency in the language and not the accent that you have. Second myth that I would like to debunk is if you use fashionable vocabulary or a very high-end language in your speaking test, chances are higher that you might get a higher band. Again, no. The entire test is about to test your functionality in the language, okay? Not your fashion of the language, but the functionality. So it's utmost important for you to know to use what kind of word where, right? So you can use your simple vocabulary word but in a better grammar structure, which will eventually give you a higher band, rather than using a hi-fi word or a very complicated vocabulary word in a very less complicated language structure. So that's of utmost importance, using the correct vocabulary word in the correct context of the language. Myth that I would like to break is that you cannot ask the examiner a question to repeat. No, you definitely can. You can ask the examiner to repeat the question in your speaking task if you were unable to hear it or unable to understand it at first go. You simply need to say, excuse me, could you please rephrase your question if you were unable to understand it, right? So the examiner might rephrase the question in a bit more depth or in a bit more understandable manner, which you would be easier, I mean, which would be easier for you to comprehend as compared to what he had spoken earlier. Last but not the least is that um, not knowing the answer to a specific question in your speaking test might lead you to a lower band. No, not at all. Even if you're not aware about a certain question which has been asked in your speaking skill, you should be able to know something near to that question. So, for example, I know nothing of cricket, okay, and I get my speaking test on the topic of cricket, right? So you just need to be close to cricket. So you could perhaps give an example of your friend, for instance, that I am not a keen observer of the cricket statistics, but my friend who watches cricket and is so much into it. So you can talk about the similar topic from somebody else's perspective, isn't it? It gives you a leverage. And if you speak well, if the questions and answers go well, you would be able to have a score, irrespective of the fact that you were not very well versed with the question topic. So yes, I think I have debunked most of the myths which were floating in the market.
Yes, true. That's a lot of fresh perspectives, especially that accent one. I think even me, I also believed in this accent myth somewhere because
Yes.
I also heard people telling that if you're going to US, have that US accent. Try to bring that in the language, the normal conversation. So I think this is an eye opener for many students who's watching it. So I think from what you told, what I understood, it's authenticity that counts.
Absolutely. I must like to add one more thing here. So I would like to come on the topic of accent. What we as Indians consider is that accent is crucial. You know, you need to have an accent, only then you're a great speaker. Or it is assumed that, oh, he or she has an accent, so he or she might be really good in their communication and might be really well versed with the language. That is not the case in reality, because accent is not something that you uh, inherit. I mean, yes, you do inherit, but it's something that builds upon, right? So if you're listening to some Netflix movies, which are in a certain accent, because you're listening to it, you might develop a separate kind of accent. So that's really important again. So the accent should be special for you. It should not be British accent. It should not be an American accent. It should rather be a Vishnu accent, for that matter. So yes.
Now that's inspirational because like what people like even if we are doing normal interviews, something that that's also a myth that the how the MTI, I think HR calls them
Mother
MTI,
tongue influence.
mother tongue
Yes.
influence has been a big
Yes.
thing. So I think the insight you gave is again eye opener. I think it really changes the perspective. So you talked about the accent part. One thing I would love to ask you is about the tone of conversation. Should we speak in the third person perspective or first person perspective? Should we use too much present tense? How can we structure that around? Because tenses is very important. Like even though grammar is not so much important when it comes to speaking, but still, I think maintaining a proper tense is very important, right? So, can you shed some light on that? In writing, it's extremely important. In speaking, how can we make it nice to impress the examiner?
All right. That's a nice question, I must admit. And perhaps tenses is a topic that most of the Indians are, quite not aware about completely. So, first of all, you should know the functions of each tense, okay? Present tense is used for daily actions, some habits of yours. So, for example, you take a bath daily, right? So, I take shower. Whereas it's also considered for universal truth, okay? So, for example, the earth revolves around the sun, okay? You cannot say the earth revolved around sun because it still does It did earlier on, and it is going to do in the future also. So these are the universal truth. On the second hand, future tense gives you an idea of something that is happening in future, okay, or will happen in future. Then the future continuous tense, the future perfect tense. You need to master the perfect tenses and the continuous tenses. That's really important. Once you know what action at what time a tense reflects, you will be able to frame your sentences on the basis of these three informational insights, which is really important. For instance, if you're assuming that it might rain tomorrow, okay, you're considering it in the future, and you're putting a modal might, that means you're unsure of the fact, okay, so it might rain tomorrow. It was raining yesterday. So, all these things come into a major bubble of tenses. So, you need to be thorough with your tenses if you need to get a good band in your IELTS. Talking about the second thing where you said, should we consider talking in first person, second person? I think talking in your own style is more important rather than considering and thinking that we should talk in first person or second person. It's important for you to talk in your person's attitude, okay? So that's the important factor here.
That's very insightful. Now, so most like IELTS is a tough exam. That's what I don't know if that is a myth, but that is something most people believe. And um, suppose a student is not able to crack it in the first attempt, um, like like they are attending it second or third time. Does it affect their scores because they failed in the first or second time? Does it count in the third attempt? Or is there any limit for the number of times we can attempt? How much times can we attempt that in a year? So can you elaborate on that?
Sure, a good question. Perhaps a question that comes across in every IELTS counseling session that I take up. So we'll, guide you through it. So number one is that it is a myth that it's a difficult exam. It is not a difficult exam. It's a strategic exam, just like any other exam, right? So yes, the prerequisite of this exam is you being good at the language, you mastering grammar, you acing the vocabulary game. That's for sure. But it requires preparation, right? You need to know the kinds of question which would be asked in your speaking exam, the time duration of it, and the structure of it, which a trainer will very clearly and very efficiently be able to tell you, which is going to help you crack the crack the score that you desire. Secondly is if even if you flunk in one of your IELTS exams, it does not make a difference, or it does not uh, impact the next attempt that you're going to give, which is probably after 15 days. So one prefers to give it after 15 days, but most of the students end up giving after a month or so. Talking about uh, you can attempt as many times as you wish for, but in most of the cases, third attempt is the last attempt of the students, because by that time you're any which ways aware about the format and the strategies that you need to use in order to get a good band. So just prepare well. And if you have flunked once, this is for the students who have already flunked in one of their IELTS exams, go to a good trainer, okay? Do a lot of mocks, do minimum 5 mocks if you have flunked in one of your IELTS exam. Do those mocks, get your answers checked, ask your trainer to tell you where you lack. You might not be lacking in your grammar, you might not be lacking in your vocabulary as well, but you might be lacking in your sentence structure. Maybe your sentence structuring isn't as complex as it is expected to be in an exam. So, a good trainer will tell you the correct feedback. And the measure that you take after listening to the feedback is what is going to help you to have a better band in the next attempt.
So reading, writing, speaking, and listening, which is the most toughest among these four? I know the four ones are easy for you, but yeah, you have trained a lot of students in your journey. So which is the area where students face the most difficulty out of this?
Well, you're right. I've trained quite a number in my career for now. I think writing, because it requires in length training. Okay. You can master speaking in a couple of days, maybe a week or so. You can get to know the strategies of the listening task and ace it as well. The reading does take practice, but you master it after a while. Whereas writing, because writing means you're expressing your mental thoughts into words. So it requires altogether a different skill set, which many students need to hone more, especially when it comes to Indian students. So yes, writing section is considered comparatively difficult as compared to the other sections. But yes, the guidance of the correct trainer, correct material can pass you through that section as well.
Fantastic. Um, Coming to the final question, a lot of students would be watching this video eagerly. Can you give them? You have already given a lot of incredible insights, but still, one advice, one life-changing advice that you want to give to the IELTS aspirants.
One life changing advice that I would like to give to not only the IELT students, but to all the students out there who are preparing for any exam is, if you have thought of clearing the exam, okay, the reality or the idea has been created in your head, and you for sure would be able to convert it into reality. That is for sure. So there is no barrier. So there's nothing stopping you people from clearing any exam in this damn world. You just need to get out of the barriers in your head. If you're thinking something, you need to act upon it. If you know you're not good at vocabulary, what are the measures you're taking to be better at it? Tell me. Are you learning 5 words daily? Are you writing the words daily, or are you trying to incorporate those words in your daily life? If yes, you will be able to master vocabulary one day. So nothing is impossible any which ways. So everything in a nutshell, or things cut and short, I would say a proper preparation plan is important. Number two, a proper guide is important. So these are the two ingredients necessary for you to cook your future.
Incredible. So, um, last discussion, and it is about yourself. A lot of students who are watching this video obviously wants to know more about you, and I'm a big fan of your Insta page, Grow with Gurpreet. Incredible reels, a lot of insights. I highly recommend everyone to follow that page. Can you tell about yourself, how you came into this domain, at which point you started to feel that, yeah, my mission should be to help students crack IELTS exam?
Why not? Again, first of all, I relate with my students a lot in all the levels. So, first of all, students at this age are brimming with passion. So, which lets you incorporate proper skill set into them and instill the skills that they require for future in a much more, smoother manner. I began my career when I was 19. I was still pursuing my college degree in English literature from Delhi University itself. And I had applied someday from a laptop. It was the COVID days, right? So I applied at Unacademy. At that time, Unacademy was not heard of as a brand, okay? It was still building itself to what it has built up to now. So I became an English language specialist at their portal. I learned a lot at Unacademy. I got trainings in there, which made me a learn and understand the requirements of Indians in the language domain, especially in the English language domain, right? What are the skills that students lack, and what are the skills that parents want their students to have? So I think we were bridging the gap between them. Later on, I was a part of Hello English, which is a global language speaking platform, right? Now here I taught students globally, so students from China, Oman, UAE, Canada, New Zealand. And I realized that so I taught both the natives of the countries plus the Indians. So I realized that the Indians who are there, they're not that great with their language, they're not that great with their vocabulary, but they're able to communicate and express well. So what is the difference? The difference is only in the confidence level and telling them the usage and functionality of language. That is where I realized that, instilling this skill in Indian students is really important, and that is what all the Indians were struggling at that time. So then I collaborated with a London based company called as Queen's English, which is now pan India. I curated their IELTS module, especially for the Indian students. I took webinars as well, and it was from there. It was in 2020 that my IELTS journey began. Soon I was taking sessions online as well as offline. So all my neighbors who wanted to go to Canada or New Zealand came, and they asked me for the sessions, and that was the time when I myself realized that I was good. I was good at catering them the linguistic knowledge that they required to crack the exam. And till now, the journey has not stopped. And now I'm teaching students across countries for cracking IELTS. And I'm also a corporate trainer. So, yes, that's more or less about
Great.
me.
That's great. Uh, can you tell a little more about your channel, Grow with Gurpreet?
Sure. So I have created this challenge, this Instagram page called Grow with Gurpreet.
Is that
And
your
this
personal brand? Are you trying to make it a personal brand of yours?
Yes, absolutely. You heard that right. I'm trying to cater to students who have any problem while communicating, because communication is something I'm very passionate about, and not just English. Why just English? Why are we giving that much importance to just English? To any kind of communication. If you're a good Hindi communicator, chances are high that you will become a good communicator in English language as well. So I am trying to break the myth that you cannot be good at communications. Everybody can be, and there is just one line between something being impossible and possible. And I want to break that one line for all the people out there who want to learn English, who want to someday crack their IELTS exam, who someday want to make their parents proud by studying abroad, creating a career abroad, or anywhere else. But yes, communication is an undetachable part of any career these days, isn't it? So that is what my mission is, and that is what I have now started with. And I really hope that I get a lot of support from people all around, and I really wish that I am able to eliminate the problems that they have regarding communication and help them in the best way possible.
Thanks a lot once again. Incredible session.
Thank you, Vishnu.
Superb energy, nice.
Okay, bye. Take care.